The 1970s heart health lie. Why your safe habits are killing you. You've been following a heart-safe rule from the 1970s. Cut saturated fat, switch to vegetable oils, go low-fat. It sounded safe, but for many seniors it backfires. Stiffer arteries, higher triglycerides, lower HDL, and more meds. The thing most people miss. The evidence that pushed this rule was shaky and conflicting data. We're sidelined. Think 1977 dietary goals and the later reanalysis of the Minnesota coronary experiment. Cholesterol dropped on corn oil, but deaths didn't. Add decades of trans fats and refined seed oils, and you've got a trap dressed up as safety. In this video, I'll show doctor-safe swaps that calm inflammation, stabilize labs, and actually feel better within 2 weeks. Ignore this, and you risk silent plaque and vascular calcification. Stay with me. The 70% drop-off moment is where a vitamin decides where calcium lands. Why? How the 1970s rule took over. Let's rewind. In the 1950s, physiologist Ansel Keys popularized the diet heart hypothesis. More saturated fat raises cholesterol, clogs arteries, drives heart attacks. His 7 countries study gave it momentum, and by the mid-1970s, it shaped policy. In 1977, the McGovern-led dietary goals told Americans to cut total fat and raise carbohydrates. Industry pivoted overnight. Low-fat everything, margarine instead of butter, heart-healthy labels on seed oils like corn and soy, later canola. Medical education simplified cholesterol to lower is always better, and public messaging hammered that point. Here's what that shift did. Pull fat out of food, and manufacturers add sugar and starch. That means more glucose spikes, higher insulin, and over time, insulin resistance. Meanwhile, default fats became omega-6 heavy seed oils. The balance with omega-3s collapsed as restaurants and packaged foods leaned on cheap, refined oils. There's a piece you weren't told. The Minnesota coronary experiment, late 1960s to early 1970s, replaced saturated fat with corn oil and lowered cholesterol. Decades later, when the full data were recovered and reanalyzed, people with the biggest cholesterol drops didn't see fewer deaths. That undercuts the lower is always better story and points to context, oxidation and inflammation being the real drivers. Social proof then locked it in. TV doctors, school lunches, hospital menus, and supermarket end caps. It felt safe, but opportunity costs were steep. Fewer yolks, less full-fat dairy and organ meats meant fewer fat-soluble vitamins, A, D, and especially K2, that help keep calcium out of arteries and in bone. At the same time, omega-6, omega-3 ratios drifted far from earlier dietary patterns. Reviews highlight omega-3's role in resolving vascular inflammation and stabilizing plaques, while excess omega-6 substrates can tilt signaling pro-inflammatory. After decades, changing feels risky, yet the costs are right there in your energy, your labs, and your pill box. What? The 2-part trap you still do daily. Here's the daily pattern that keeps the 1970s rule alive. Part 1. Fear of saturated fat. You trim yolks, red meat, full-fat dairy, and organ meats. Breakfast becomes cereal, toast, juice, or low-fat yogurt. Lunch leans on turkey sandwiches, low-fat dressings, and fruit. Dinner shrinks the steak and piles on pasta or rice. It looks light, but it's often low in protein, skimpy on stable fats, and missing the fat-soluble trio, DK2, that support vascular health and calcium placement. The result: hungrier sooner, more snacking, and a lab pattern many seniors know. Triglycerides up, HDL down. Part 2, the default to refined seed oils. Corn, soy, canola, safflower, bottles labeled vegetable oil, or heart-healthy become the cooking and dressing baseline. Eating out, fryers and flat tops bathe your food in the same oils. Over time, this skews your omega-6 to omega-3 3 balance far from the lower ratios seen in traditional patterns. Mechanistically, that matters. Omega-6 derived eicosanoids generally push pro-inflammatory pathways. Omega-3s, EPA/DHA, produce mediators that help resolve inflammation and stabilize plaques. Clinical and mechanistic reviews consistently show omega-3s support plaque stability. Cranking up omega-6 substrates without adequate omega-3s doesn't help that equation. Now add the glycemic creep from low-fat foods. Pull fat out, sugar usually goes in. You see sharper glucose spikes and higher insulin demand. Over time, that pattern promotes insulin resistance, a driver of high triglycerides, low HDL, and small, dense LDL particles. Post-meal, you feel it as a jumpier pulse and afternoon crashes. There's also the trans fat legacy. For decades, margarine and processed foods carried partially hydrogenated oils that stiffened membranes and promoted LDL oxidation. Even though many countries have removed trans fats, the habits they normalized, seed oils, low fat, high sugar, stuck around. Put it together, and you get a feedback loop. Low protein, low fat breakfasts, seed oils at lunch, a sweet 3 p.m. snack, starchy, low fat dinners cooked in vegetable oil. Inside your arteries, frequent sugar spikes and an omega-6 heavy background make LDL particles easier to oxidize. Oxidized LDL invites immune cells, forming foam cells and unstable plaque. Meanwhile, cutting K2-rich foods and the fats that help you absorb A and D leaves your anti-calcification system underpowered. You're told your cholesterol is better, but triglycerides creep up, HDL drifts down, blood pressure edges higher. This isn't abstract biochemistry, it's daily repetition. The fix starts by breaking the two-part trap. Bring back stable cooking fats that resist oxidation and carry nutrients. Prioritize protein to flatten glucose swings, and restore omega-3s while dialing down fryer oils. Then, bring back foods that deliver K2 with fat on board. Yolks, aged cheeses, and fatty fish, paired with D3 under your doctor's guidance. You'll feel it as steadier energy and a calmer post-meal pulse within days, and you'll see it as improving triglycerides and HDL over weeks. How it breaks your heart, the physiology. Let me show you exactly what those safe habits do inside your arteries. First, the inflammatory backdrop. When refined seed oils dominate and omega-3 intake lags, your cells produce more pro-inflammatory eicosanoids. That tilts the whole system toward irritation. Pair that with the sugar swings from low-fat, high-starch meals, and you add oxidative stress. Now, LDL particles are easier to oxidize. Oxidized LDL is what your immune system flags as trouble. Macrophages swallow it, turn into foam cells, and start the foundation of plaque. This isn't overnight. It's micro hits, day after day, year after year. Here's where most people mess up. They think, if I just lower cholesterol, plaque melts. But context matters. The Minnesota coronary experiment, reanalyzed decades later, showed that swapping saturated fat for corn oil lowered cholesterol, yet people with the biggest drops didn't have fewer deaths. That tells us cholesterol in an inflamed, oxidative environment behaves differently. The problem isn't cholesterol alone. It's what happens to those particles when sugar spikes and unstable oils run the show. Next, the endothelium, the single-cell lining of your arteries. Healthy endothelium releases nitric oxide to relax vessels, keeps the surface slick, and controls what passes in and out. Sugar spikes, oxidative stress, and an omega-6 heavy background beat it up. Microtears appear. Junctions get dysfunctional, and nitric oxide production falls. Stiffer vessels mean higher pressure and more work for your heart. You feel it as a quickened pulse after meals, head rushes when you stand, or a cuff that reads a little higher month after month. Energy is the quiet casualty. Your heart's mitochondria need a rich mix of nutrients, be vitamins, carnitine, CoQ10 precursors, and steady inputs of stable fats. stripped fat and nutrient density, and mitochondria sputter. That shows up as afternoon crashes, breathlessness on small hills, and a sense that chores take more out of you than they used to. You don't need a biochemistry degree to notice that. Hormones get dragged into this too. Protein and stable fats help regulate satiety hormones and steroid hormone balance. Low-fat, high-spike patterns push cortisol up and make insulin chase roller coasters. The lab fingerprint is classic. Triglycerides climb, HDL dips, and small, dense LDL shows up more often. That pattern ties closely with insulin resistance, which raises cardiovascular risk even when total cholesterol looks better. Now for the calcium piece. You probably never linked to low-fat, vitamins K2, D3, and a work together to guide calcium. D helps you absorb it, K2 activates proteins that keep it out of arteries, and vitamin A supports tissue remodeling. Decades of skipping yolks, aged cheese, liver, and fatty fish means you can absorb calcium, but still lack the signal to keep it out of vessel walls. Over time, arteries calcify and stiffen, not just plaque. Minerals laid down where you don't want them. A quick micro story. Ed ditched butter for margarine, cooked with vegetable oil, and kept breakfasts light and sweet. Cholesterol edged down, but triglycerides rose, HDL fell, and hills felt steeper. He walked more. It helped a bit. But the real change came when he swapped oils, rebuilt breakfast with protein and fat, and brought back K2-rich foods. Within weeks, his post-meal pulse settled and stamina returned. Better inputs fixed bad outputs. If you remember nothing else, remember this. Oxidation plus inflammation plus nutrient gaps equals fragile arteries. The fix isn't a miracle pill. It's restoring stable fats, smoothing glucose, and reintroducing the vitamins that direct calcium. Once you change the inputs, the endothelium breathes easier, nitric oxide returns, and labs start drifting in the right direction. Now, let's start with the fastest lever, the fat you cook with every day. Secret 1, the stable fats swap. The quickest win is your cooking fat. Choose fats by structure and job. Use saturated and monounsaturated fats for heat, and keep delicate polyunsaturated fats off the stove. This alone lowers the oxidative burden your arteries face. Here's the kitchen roster. For cooking: butter, ghee, beef tallow, avocado oil, and regular olive oil. For cold uses and finishing: extra virgin olive oil. Saturated and monounsaturated fats resist oxidation better. When heated, extra virgin olive oil's polyphenol are best preserved at low heat or off heat. Now, do the 5-minute pantry audit. Pull every bottle labeled vegetable oil, corn, soy, canola, safflower, sunflower, cottonseed, grapeseed, or blend. Check packaged foods for hydrogenated, partially hydrogenated, or interesterified. Those go. Toss bottled dressings made with seed oils. This isn't about perfection on day one. It's about removing the biggest drivers first. Eating out, use this line: could you cook that in butter or olive oil? I'll skip anything from the fryer. Most places can do it if you're polite and clear. Avoid crispy, crunchy, and fryer baskets. They live in reheated seed oils. Why this swap works: when you dial down omega-6 heavy seed oils and bring in stable fats, you reduce the substrate for pro-inflammatory signaling. That creates room for omega-3s to do their job. Reviews show omega-3s help stabilize plaques and resolve vascular inflammation. Paired with fewer unstable oils, the chemistry around your LDL particles gets less hostile, so there's less oxidation and less endothelial insult. Track progress without fancy tests by watching triglycerides and HDL. As sugar swings fall and your omega balance improves, triglycerides often drop and HDL nudges up within weeks. That's your in-body scoreboard saying, keep going. Common mistakes: blasting extra virgin olive oil on high heat. You'll smoke off flavor and degrade polyphenol. Use regular olive oil or avocado oil for sautéing. Save extra virgin for salads and warm finishes. Trusting high smoke point blends. Many are still rich in omega-6 PUFAs. Swapping to light butter-like spreads. If it's whipped with seed oils, skip it. Real butter or ghee is cleaner and more stable. A quick 7-day win. Do a seed oil fast at home. Cook only with butter, ghee, tallow, avocado oil, or olive oil. Eat out once at most, and request butter or olive oil. Most people feel less bloat by day 3 and steadier afternoon energy by day 5. That's your endothelium getting a break. Let's tie back to calcium, because this is the step that multiplies results. Vitamins K2, D3, and a need fat on board for absorption and function. When you cook eggs in butter, dress vegetables with extra virgin olive oil, and include aged cheese, you're not just eating tastier food. You're delivering the cofactors that tell calcium to go into bone, not arteries. D3 raises absorption. K2, especially as -7 Malawian kwaches, activates matrix GLA protein to block arterial calcification, and vitamin A helps maintain balanced tissue remodeling. The trio works best alongside real fats. Worried about cholesterol? Remember the Minnesota coronary experiment. Lowering cholesterol with corn oil didn't translate into fewer deaths. Focus on the whole profile, triglycerides down, HDL up, stable blood pressure, calmer glucose. As inflammation eases and oxidation drops, risk moves in the right direction. Here's a simple mental model. Heat equals stable fats. Cold equals extra virgin. If a label says vegetable, a seed name, or blend, it's out. If your grandparents would recognize it. Olive oil, butter, ghee, tallow. It's in. Hair fats with protein to avoid naked carbs. Notice how your pulse feels 30 minutes after meals. A calmer beat is an early green light. Restaurant script, upgraded. Grilled salmon or steak, double vegetables, cooked in butter or olive oil, no fryer. Olive oil and lemon on the side. If the salad dressing is a must, ask for olive oil and vinegar. If they bring a blend, go with lemon and salt. Do this consistently for 8 to 12 weeks, and you'll start moving your omega-6 to omega-3 ratio in the right direction, not necessarily to 1-to-1, but far better than typical modern intakes. Add 2 to 3 servings of fatty fish per week, and the payoff compounds. You're changing the raw materials your body uses to build cell membranes and signaling molecules. Less oxidation, calmer inflammation, better nitric oxide tone. If you remember nothing else from this section, remember this: the fat in your pan sets the tone in your arteries. Stable cooking fats plus extra virgin olive oil, off heat, reduce oxidation at the source, and help your other changes work faster. Now that your baseline input is steady, we'll bring in the vitamin trio and breakfast timing that turn this into measurable wins. Secret 2, the K2-D3, a triad for arteries. This is the missing link low-fat living. Quietly erased, vitamins K2, D3, and a work together to control calcium traffic. D3 helps you absorb calcium, K2 flips on proteins that keep it out of arteries, and vitamin A supports healthy tissue remodeling. When you cut yolks, aged cheese, liver, and fatty fish, and strip fat from meals, you don't just lower calories, you lose the absorption and activation signals that keep vessels flexible. Why this matters now? For years, take calcium and vitamin D was common advice, especially for bone health. The thing most people miss is that D without K2 can raise calcium absorption while leaving it directionless. Matrix GLA protein, the body's arterial anti-calcification bouncer, stays inactive unless K2 carboxylates it. That's the biochemical reason bringing K2 back changes how your arteries age, and it lands better with real fat in the meal. What to do? Simply. First, reintroduce K2-rich foods paired with natural fat, so absorption isn't a guessing game. Egg yolks, especially from pasture-raised hens. Aged cheeses like Gouda, Brie, and Edam, and if you're up for it, a small weekly serving of liver for preformed vitamin A. Add fatty fish, sardines, mackerel, salmon for D3 and omega-3s in one move. If natto works for you, it's the richest natural source of K2 as MK7, but you don't need to love it to get results. Second, consider a simple supplement stack with your clinician's approval. A modest daily D3 dose tailored to your 25-hydroxy vitamin D lab, paired with K2 as MK7, is practical. MK7's longer half-life keeps those vitamin K-dependent proteins activated through the day. Prioritize retinol from food for vitamin A. If supplementing, use retinol palmitate or acetate under guidance, since beta-carotene converts inconsistently in many older adults. How to anchor this with labs so you know it's working. Ask for 25-hydroxy vitamin D to set dosing. Then let your broader metabolic markers tell the story as your inputs change. Triglycerides trending down, HDL edging up, fasting glucose or insulin calming, and if available, HSCRP easing. ApoB adds context for atherogenic particle load. You're not chasing a single vitamin level, you're watching the vascular environment improve. Now, here's where most people mess up. They take D3 alone, add a calcium pill, and still fear yolks and cheese. That's the 1970s fear talking. The recovered Minnesota coronary experiment data already shook the lower cholesterol at any cost idea. What your arteries want is lower oxidative stress, steadier insulin, and K2 activated proteins keeping calcium out of soft tissues. If you're on warfarin, keep vitamin K intake consistent and coordinate any change with your care team. Let me show you exactly how to make this effortless. Build one K2D3A moment every morning, 2 or 3 eggs cooked in butter, a slice of aged Gouda, sliced tomatoes with extra virgin olive oil, and if you supplement, take D3/K2 with that meal so the fat ferries it in. Alternate days with sardines over avocado with lemon and salt, or cottage cheese drizzled with olive oil alongside smoked salmon. Same chemistry, different flavors. Common mistakes and quick fixes. Low-fat dairy. Swap to whole milk Greek yogurt or cottage cheese. Add a drizzle of olive oil to improve fat-soluble vitamin uptake. Multivitamins with token K. The dose and form matter. Look for MK7 and confirm amounts. Relying on plant precursors for A. Retinol from foods like liver or full-fat dairy is more reliable, especially as conversion often declines with age. A short micro-story. Marla took vitamin D for years, but avoided yolks and cheese. She added MK7 with her clinician's okay, brought back 2 yolks and a slice of aged Gouda most mornings, and used extra virgin olive oil on salads. Within weeks, her home blood pressure log lost random spikes and gum bleeding eased. The reason this works is simple. You didn't just add vitamins. You activated the proteins that keep calcium from hardening vessels. If you remember nothing else, remember this. D brings calcium in, K2 tells it where to go, and vitamin A keeps tissue refresh balanced. Pair them with real fats and protein, and your arteries finally get clear the breakfast insulin reset. Now, we lock in your daytime chemistry because breakfast decides whether your arteries spend the next 8 to 12 hours calm or on edge. Start sugary and low fat, and you'll spike insulin, crash, and stress the endothelium. Start protein and stable fat first, and you'll get a gentle glucose rise, steadier insulin, and a smoother pulse all day. This is where everything you've changed, stable fats and the K2D3 A trio, starts paying off quickly. Here's the rule that separates beginners from pros. Within 90 minutes of waking, eat at least 30 grams of protein with natural fat and minimal sugar. That single move blunts the first insulin surge, stops your liver from dumping extra glucose, and ends the 11 a.m. wobble that pushes you towards sweet coffee and snack bars. It also ferries your fat-soluble vitamins into circulation. So they can actually work. Let me show you exactly how to build it. Option 1, 3 eggs cooked in butter or regular olive oil, plus a cup of whole milk Greek yogurt with a handful of berries and a drizzle of extra virgin olive oil. That's about 35 to 40 grams of protein, stable fat, polyphenol, and fiber. Option 2, sardines over half an avocado with lemon and salt, plus cottage cheese on the side. It's fast, savory, and it keeps you full for hours. Option 3, cottage cheese mixed with a scoop of unflavored whey, topped with walnuts and cinnamon, with a warm side of sautéed spinach and mushrooms in olive oil. Different flavors, same chemistry. Protein first, fat for stability, minimal sugar. Now, here's where most people mess up. They keep cereal, juice, and a low-fat bagel because it feels light. That combo is a glucose blast that invites a crash, palpitations, and snack hunting. Coffee alone on an empty stomach is another trap. Caffeine spikes cortisol, nudging glucose up and setting off the same insulin dance. Have your coffee with breakfast, not before. And skip healthy granola bars. Most are refined seed oils and syrup in a wrapper. A simple 7-day test locks this in. For the next week, eat a 30-gram protein, stable fat breakfast within 90 minutes of waking. Track 2 signals, afternoon cravings and your pulse 30 minutes after lunch. Most people notice fewer cravings and a calmer post-meal pulse by day 3 to 5. That's your endothelium breathing easier. Timing matters more than perfection. If you routinely delay your first real meal until noon, your body leans on stress hormones to keep glucose up. That pattern tightens vessels and muddies blood pressure. I'm not against time-restricted eating, but for many seniors with creeping blood pressure or 3 p.m. crashes, a protein-first breakfast, and an earlier dinner beats skipping breakfast. Once your numbers and energy improve, experiment if you want. Start with stability, then test. Make this effortless with a plate formula: PFF, protein, fat, few carbs. Anchor 30 to 40 grams of protein. Add 1 to 2 tablespoons of natural fat, butter, olive oil, avocado, or nuts, and keep carbs low sugar and high fiber. Berries or leftover beans work well. If fruit's your thing, keep it small and never eat it naked. Pair it with yogurt, cheese, or nuts. Common problems and quick fixes: low-fat yogurt with fruit. Fix: whole milk Greek yogurt. Add a scoop of whey or cottage cheese. Drizzle extra virgin olive oil. Toast and jam. Fix: skip it, or replace with a veggie omelet and a side of berries. Smoothie sugar bombs. Fix: base it on whey, Greek yogurt, olive oil, or avocado, water or unsweetened milk, a small handful of berries, no juice or honey. Like muffins. Fix: eggs, cottage cheese, or sardines. Save muffins for rare treats, not fuel. Micro story: Louise thought cereal kept things light. We rebuilt breakfast with eggs, yogurt, and olive oil and had his coffee with the meal. Within a week, his 3 p.m. palpitations faded and the candy hunt died. The reason is boring and powerful. Fewer glucose swings mean less endothelial stress and steadier blood pressure. Tie it back to the vitamin story. Taking D3 with K2 as MK7 alongside yolks, aged cheese, and olive oil means better absorption and activation. You're not just eating, you're delivering the signal that keeps calcium out of arteries. Pair that with omega-3 fish during the week and your lipid profile gets friendlier. Triglycerides often drift down, HDL nudges up, and your post-meal pulse settles. Your cue for tomorrow morning is simple: 30 before coffee. Put a skillet, olive oil, salt, and a bowl of eggs out tonight. If mornings are hectic, portion cottage cheese or yogurt into grab cups and tape a mini olive oil bottle to the lid. Keep it repeatable, not fancy. If you remember nothing else, remember this: breakfast sets your insulin tone for the day. Nail protein and stable fat in the first 90 minutes, and your arteries get hours of calm. Secret 4, the 3 p.m. snack trap fix. This is where a lot of solid mornings fall apart. You eat a steady breakfast, lunch is decent, and then around 3 o'clock your energy dips, your pulse feels a bit jumpy, and your brain hunts for something sweet. That crash isn't a character flaw, it's physiology. A low-fat, high-carb snack hits fast, glucose spikes, insulin slams it down, cortisol tries to rescue you, and your endothelium gets yanked around. Fix this window and you protect your evening blood pressure, your sleep, and tomorrow's motivation. Here's the rule: no naked carbs. Every afternoon snack needs at least 10 to 20 grams of protein plus natural fat. Protein and fat slow gastric emptying, flatten the glucose curve, and keep insulin from overreacting. That steadier curve means fewer palpitations, less anxiety, and a calmer post-meal pulse. Exactly what we're after. Let me show you exactly what to eat. Sliced apple with 2 tablespoons of salted almond or peanut butter and 2 ounces of cheddar or Gouda, a cup of whole milk Greek yogurt or plain kefir with a handful of walnuts and cinnamon, plus a drizzle of extra virgin olive oil. Cottage cheese with olive oil, cherry tomatoes, salt, and cracked pepper. Savory beats sweet here. A tin of sardines or mackerel in olive oil with lemon and capers. Fast, portable, K2 friendly if you add aged cheese. If you want something crunchy, swap chips for roasted chickpeas tossed in olive oil and spices, or a small portion of nuts alongside cheese. On the go, build a no-excuse kit. 2 cheese sticks, a 1/4 cup jar of mixed nuts, and a tin of fish in olive oil. Keep it in your bag or glove box. In the fridge, pre-portion cottage cheese, and tape a mini bottle of olive oil to the lid so fat-soluble vitamins actually ride in. Hydration helps more than you think. Around 2:30 p.m., drink a tall glass of mineral water with a squeeze of lemon and a tiny pinch of salt. Better fluid balance can reduce that head rush when you stand and smooth your pulse. If you're salt sensitive or on specific meds, confirm with your doctor, but many people feel steadier in days. Now here's where most people mess up. Fruit alone. Grapes, bananas, or apples by themselves are fast sugar. Pair fruit with dairy or nuts so it isn't naked. Low-fat yogurt cups. Many are dessert in disguise. Seed oils and syrups included. Choose whole milk plain and add your own nuts and olive oil. Like crackers, pretzels, or rice cakes. Starch without breaks. If you must, add a can of tuna and olive oil or cheese, so insulin has a reason to stay calm. Coffee drinks and energy cans. Caffeine plus sugar is a cortisol insulin double punch. If you want caffeine, have a small latte with whole milk and pair it with protein. Make this measurable with a 1-week experiment. For 7 days, set a 2:30 alarm titled Protein plus Fat plus Bubbles. Eat your snack before the crash. Track 2 signals. Do cravings fade by 4:30? And what's your pulse 30 minutes after the snack? If the pulse is calmer than last week, you nailed the mix. If you still feel wired, add 5 to 10 grams more protein and trim the sweet elements. Microstory. Luis used to crush 2 healthy bars at 3. We swapped them for cottage cheese with olive oil, a few almonds, and mineral water. By day 5, his pre-dinner palpitations eased and pantry prowling stopped. The reason is simple and consistent. Protein and fat slow glucose entry, insulin stays steady, and your endothelium stops getting jerked around. Anchor this habit with placement. Put your snack kit at eye level in the fridge, not hiding behind leftovers. Keep sardine tins and cheese sticks in a clear bin. And remember the line that keeps you honest: no naked carbs. Secret 5, the Artery Flex Protocol. Food set the chemistry. Now we'll use tiny, well-placed movement to pump nitric oxide, smooth post-meal spikes, and teach your vessels to relax on command. You don't need a gym. You need 10 focused minutes that you actually do. Here's the protocol. 4 minutes brisk walk, 3 minutes wall sit, 3 minutes calf raises. Start 5 to 10 minutes after a meal so glucose moves into muscle instead of slamming your bloodstream. If stairs or weather get in the way, do it indoors. Hallway laps work. Let me show you exactly how. First, the 4-minute brisk walk. Stand tall, swing your arms, and pick a pace where you can talk but not sing. That gentle shear stress on your endothelium triggers nitric oxide release. Nitric oxide is your body's natural vessel relaxer. More of it means smoother artery tone and less pressure chatter. By minute 3, you'll feel warmer and more awake. Next, the 3-minute wall sit. Back against a wall, slide down until knees are near 90 degrees, feet a step forward, weight in your heels. If that angle bothers your knees, go higher. Comfort beats bravado. Set a timer. Your quads will hum. Those isometric contractions train arterial compliance and help regulate pressure without big swings. If you need a break, stand, shake it out, and get back in. Aim to accumulate the 3 minutes. Finish with 3 minutes of calf raises. Hold a counter for balance. Rise up on your toes for a 2 count, lower for a 2 count, steady rhythm. Your calves are a second heart, pumping blood back toward your chest. Better venous return means less pooling, fewer head rushes on standing, and a calmer pulse. If balance is tricky, do them seated. Press toes down to lift heels, then heels down to lift toes, slow and controlled. Chair variation if standing isn't your friend today. Do 2 minutes of sit to stands from a sturdy chair, arms crossed if safe, hands on the chair if needed. Add 1 minute of heel-toe rocks, holding the back of the chair. Then 1 minute of slow nasal breathing. Inhale 4, exhale 6 to 8. You'll raise nitric oxide in your nasal passages and drop sympathetic tone while you move blood. Now, here's where most people mess up. They bet everything on a 60-minute workout a few times a week and skip the after-meal window that changes glucose the most. Timing beats intensity. Short, repeated bouts right after meals trump big. Rare sessions for arterial calm. If afternoons are chaotic, do the protocol after breakfast and dinner. Consistency wins. Make it measurable. For 7 days, check your pulse 30 minutes after lunch. Add the protocol and watch it settle by day 3 to 5. Many people also see fewer evening palpitations and a smoother heart rate drift at night. Safety notes. Pain is a stop sign. Muscle work is fine. If wall sits bother your knees, hold a gentle half squat at a counter, or do seated quad squeezes. Straighten one leg, tense the thigh for 10 seconds, switch legs. If balance is iffy, keep both hands on a counter for calf raises and use smaller ranges. If you're on blood pressure meds, tell your clinician you're adding post-meal walks. They'll appreciate the log. Anchors make it automatic. Put your walking shoes by the table. Set a repeating timer named Walk, Wall, Calves to buzz 10 minutes after your usual meals. Tape a sticky note on the fridge. Move the meal. Keep it boring and repeatable. A quick micro story. Ed added the protocol after lunch and dinner. By day 4, his post-meal pulse was calmer. By week 2, the evening thump eased. The reason is simple: more nitric oxide, better glucose disposal, and steadier vessel tone. If you remember nothing else, remember this: the minutes after you eat are leverage. Move then, and your arteries get an immediate, measurable break. Secret 6: Omega Rebalance in 30 days. Think of omega fats as the language your body uses to dial inflammation up or down. For decades, the default has been loud omega-6 from fryer oils and packaged foods, with not enough omega-3. We're going to turn that volume down and bring balance back in 30 days. 2 moves. Add omega-3. Cut excess omega-6. Start with the adds to build momentum. Aim for 2 to 3 servings per week of fatty fish, sardines, mackerel, salmon, herring, anchovies. Tin and olive oil is fine. Marine omega-3s. EPA and DHA feed your body's pro-resolving mediators that help calm vascular inflammation and stabilize plaques. Mechanistic and clinical reviews point in the same direction. Omega-3s support plaque stability and healthier lipids, often lowering triglycerides. If fish won't happen, use a reputable fish oil with meals. Read labels that list EPA and DHA amounts clearly, not just fish oil. Store it cool and take it with fat for absorption. If you're plant-based, ask your clinician about algae-derived EPA/DHA. Yellow from flax and chia converts poorly, especially with age or insulin resistance, so treat seeds as fiber, not your EPA/DHA source. Now the cuts. You already pulled seed oils at home with the stable fat swap. Keep going. Avoid fryers. Foods soak up reheated omega-6 oils. Swap bottled dressings and mayonnaise made with soybean, canola, corn, safflower, or sunflower oil for olive oil-based versions. Or make your own with extra virgin olive oil, mustard, vinegar, lemon, and salt. Check labels on crackers, chips, granola bars, and baked snacks. Many still rely on seed oils. If it says soybean, corn, sunflower, safflower, cottonseed, grapeseed, vegetable oil, or blend, it's a no. Grocery shortcuts make this easy. Keep tins of sardines and mackerel in the pantry, salmon pouches for quick lunches, and a glass bottle of extra virgin olive oil on the counter. Stock olives, capers, lemons, and a good mustard to assemble fast dressings and fish plates. Nuts are fine, but they're still omega-6 heavy. Use them as condiments, not meals. A small handful is enough. How will you know it's working? Watch simple biomarkers and body signals. As omega-3 intake rises and sugar swings fall, triglycerides often drop and HDL nudges up within weeks. If your clinician measures high-sensitivity C-reactive protein, you may see it ease as inflammation calms. ApoB adds context for atherogenic particle load. You don't need a perfect lab ratio to confirm progress. A calmer post-meal pulse, fewer evening palpitations, and steadier afternoon energy are early tells. Common mistakes: thinking canola is a neutral pass. In practice, restaurant and packaged canola is refined and often oxidized. Skip it, ignoring hidden oils. Crispy, crunchy, and lightly fried signal seed oils. Choose grilled, baked, or broiled, and ask for butter or olive oil. Overdoing nuts and nut butters. Delicious, yes, but portion them: 2 tablespoons of nut butter or a small handful of nuts. Relying on ALA for EPA/DHA. Conversion is low. If you don't eat fish, look at algae oil. Here's your 30-day blueprint. Week 1, add 2 fish meals and cut visible seed oils at home. Make 1 batch of olive oil dressing for the week. Week 2, add a 3rd fish serving. Replace all bottled dressings and mayo with olive oil versions. 0 fryer foods. Week 3, scan snacks. Swap chips and crackers for olives, cheese, cottage cheese with tomatoes and olive oil, or roasted chickpeas tossed in olive oil and spices. Week 4, tighten eating out rules. No crispy anything, ask for butter or olive oil, and skip blends. Order fish when it's fresh. Otherwise, choose steak or chicken cooked in butter or olive oil with double vegetables. Micro story: Janet rotated sardines 3 times a week, switched to olive oil dressings, and avoided fryers for a month. By week 3, leg cramps eased and her afternoon blood pressure steadied. Her next labs showed lower triglycerides. The reason is straightforward. Fewer omega-6 substrates mean fewer pro-inflammatory signals, while EPA/DHA push resolution pathways that stabilize plaques. Worried about mercury? Prioritize small cold water fish, sardines, anchovies, herring, mackerel. For salmon, go wild caught when you can. Rotate species to diversify nutrients and reduce exposure. Travel plan: so airports don't derail you. Pack a salmon pouch, 2 cheese sticks, a small bag of nuts, and a mini bottle of extra virgin olive oil. At cafes, ask for a latte with whole milk and a side of eggs or cheese. On menus, translate crispy as seed oil fryer. Choose grilled or baked proteins and ask for butter or olive oil and lemon. Lock the habit with anchors. Put fish, Tuesday, Thursday sun on your calendar. Keep tins where you can see them. Store olive oil on the counter, not hidden. Once a week, scan your pantry and remove 1 seed oil product. Frequency over perfection. If you remember nothing else, remember this: EPA/DHA in, seed oil fryers out. Shift the raw materials that build your cell membranes and signaling molecules, and your arteries feel the change within weeks. Secret 7, the night repair stack. Day handles inputs. Night is when your arteries repair. If evenings are noisy, late meals, bright screens, alcohol, your vessels never get the reset they need. We'll build a simple stack that lowers nighttime pressure chatter, improves heart rate variability, and sets you up for steadier mornings. Start with a consistent sleep window. Pick a lights out time that gives you 7 to 8 hours and stick within the same 60-minute window every night. Consistency trains your circadian clock, steadies cortisol, and supports the normal nighttime blood pressure dip your heart depends on. A cool, dark room helps. Drop the thermostat a couple of degrees, close the curtains, and dim overhead lights an hour before bed. Less blue light means more melatonin and smoother vessel tone. Make dinner do some work. Aim to finish eating at least 3 hours before bed. Late, heavy meals push glucose up and fragment sleep. If you need a small bite near bedtime, go protein plus fat, not sugar. Half a cup of cottage cheese with olive oil and salt, or whole milk Greek yogurt with a few walnuts, holds blood sugar steady through the first sleep cycle. Magnesium glycinate with dinner is a quiet helper. It supports vasodilation and helps your nervous system downshift. If you're on medications that interact with magnesium or you have kidney issues, clear it with your clinician first. Otherwise, a modest evening dose pairs well with your protein-fat dinner. Alcohol timing matters more than people think. A nightcap may make you drowsy, but it raises nighttime heart rate, suppresses deep sleep, and triggers early wake UPS. If you drink, keep it to a small serving and have it early with food, not late. Now, the breathing glue. Use a simple 4-4-6 or 4-7-8 pattern for 5 minutes in bed. Inhale through your nose for 4, hold for 4 or 7, then exhale slowly for 6 to 8. Longer exhales tilt your nervous system toward parasympathetic, lowering heart rate while boosting nasal nitric oxide that supports airway tone. Hydration, but not too much. A small glass of mineral water on the nightstand can prevent 3 a.m. dry mouth wake UPS. If you tend to wake to urinate, front load fluids earlier and taper after dinner. Make this measurable with a 5-night test. Hold your sleep window, keep the room cool and dark, skip late alcohol, take magnesium with dinner if it fits your meds, and do 5 minutes of slow breathing in bed. Track 2 signals, morning blood pressure, and how rested you feel on waking. Many people see steadier morning numbers and a calmer resting heart rate by night 5. If you use a wearable, look for a small HRV bump. Anchor the routine. Set a nightly wind down now. Alarm, put your phone to charge outside the bedroom, and lay out tomorrow's breakfast skillet and eggs before you dim lights. You're telling your body night is for repair, morning is for stability. When the day's inputs are solid and the night stack is steady, work with your doctor. Arteries actually get time to heal. Sync. Lifestyle changes are powerful. Pairing them with smart medical oversight makes them safe and measurable. You'll build a shared plan, use a simple home kit, and know which wins matter on paper and how to spot red flags. Start with labs that map to what you're changing. Ask your clinician about fasting lipid panel with triglycerides and HDL, These shift quickly when you flatten glucose swings and rebalance fats. Triglycerides often drop. HDL nudges up. ApoB if available. It reflects atherogenic particle burden better than LDL-C alone. Fasting insulin and A1C. Together, they show how hard your pancreas is working and your longer-term glucose control. High-sensitivity CRP, a broad inflammation marker that can fall as seed oils and sugar spikes come down and omega-3s go up. 25. Hydroxyvitamin D. This anchors D3 dosing. You'll pair D3 with K2 as MK7, not fly blind. If your clinician uses them, optional adds like liver enzymes, ferritin, and thyroid markers can help tailor nutrition and fatigue workups, but keep the core set above as your base. At home, track blood pressure the right way. Morning and evening, same chair, feet flat, back supported, arm at heart level. Sit quietly for 5 minutes, then take 3 readings a minute apart and record the average. Do this daily for 2 weeks to set a baseline, then 3 to 4 days per week. Trends beat single numbers and help your clinician adjust meds safely. Pulse is your quick barometer. Check it 30 minutes after lunch and dinner for a week. Then after you add the Artery Flex protocol and the snack fix. A calmer pulse by day 3 to 5 is an early win your doctor will appreciate. Medication sync prevents headaches. As triglycerides fall, blood pressure steadies, and glucose control improves. You might not need the same doses of statins, antihypertensives, or diabetes meds. Don't white-knuckle this alone. Book a follow-up 4 to 6 weeks after starting the plan. Bring your BP averages, pulse notes, and a simple food/movement summary. Protein first breakfasts, fish days, seed oil fast adherence, and post-meal movement frequency. Ask, if these trends continue, which dose would you consider trimming first? If you're on insulin or sulfonylureas, hypoglycemia risk rises as diet improves. Review a proactive step-down plan and warning signs with your clinician up front. If you're on anticoagulants like warfarin, keep vitamin K intake consistent and coordinate any K2 changes closely. Fish oil can have a mild blood thinning effect, usually fine, but worth flagging if you're on anticoagulants or before procedures. Magnesium may interact with certain blood pressure meds. Spacing doses often solves it. Red flags mean stop and get help now. New or worsening chest pain, sudden shortness of breath, fainting, severe headache with very high blood pressure, or neurologic symptoms like one-sided weakness or slurred speech. Lifestyle wins don't replace emergency care. Create a 1-page dashboard to make visits efficient. Top row, this week's BP averages, resting morning pulse, and count of Artery Flex sessions. Middle, breakfasts hit, fish servings, seed oil fast days, 3 p.m. snack compliance, and nights you held the sleep window. Bottom, date for next labs, current supplements and meds, and 2 questions for your clinician. Clean data earns better care. Agree on checkpoints. If your clinician allows, recheck lipids, ApoB, fasting insulin, A1C, HSCRP, and vitamin D in 8 to 12 weeks. Earlier checks, around week 6, can be helpful if meds are shifting or if you're troubleshooting. Remember, you're looking for pattern change. Triglycerides trending down, HDL inching up, calmer BP, steadier pulse, and inflammation easing. Perfection isn't the goal. Consistent direction is. One last tip, language that earns alignment. Say, I'm aiming for lower spikes, calmer blood pressure, and better triglycerides and HDL. Here's my plan. Can you help me track and adjust meds as these change? Clinicians love patients with a clear, safe plan. Bring your dashboard, celebrate the small wins, and let the data guide the next small step. The Pantry Purge and Rebuild. Your pantry decides your arteries before your fork does. We're going to make the stable, low spike choice the default by changing what you see, touch, and reach for. Start with a ruthless purge. Pull every bottle labeled vegetable oil, corn, soybean, canola, safflower, sunflower, cottonseed, grapeseed, or blend out. Same for margarine and any light or heart-healthy spreads. Flip packaged foods and toss anything with hydrogenated, partially hydrogenated, or interesterified on the label. Bottled dressings and mayo made with seed oils? Gone. Chips, crackers, and baked snacks fried or mixed with seed oils. Check the label and clear them. If the front shouts light or neutral taste, assume it's refined and replace it. Now rebuild with stable fats you trust. For heat, butter, ghee, beef, tallow, and avocado oil. For everyday sautéing, regular olive oil. For cold and finishing, extra virgin olive oil. Put the extra virgin bottle front and center. Keep a small buttered dish on the counter if your kitchen runs cool. Convenience beats intention at 7 a.m. Next, stock protein that automates breakfast and snacks. Buy 24 eggs so you don't ration. Choose whole milk Greek yogurt and cottage cheese. Load the pantry with tins of sardines, mackerel, and anchovies in olive oil, plus salmon pouches for grab and go. Keep frozen salmon fillets, chicken thighs, and ground beef or bison for quick dinners. If you're open to it, small portions of liver or a simple pate cover preformed vitamin A without fuss. Carbs that steady you, not spike you. Frozen berries for quick bowls. And smoothies built on protein, not juice. Canned beans, black, chickpeas, cannellini for salads and sides. Steel-cut oats, if they sit well, cook a pot, portion, and reheat with yogurt and extra virgin olive oil instead of sugar. Potatoes are fine when you play the starch game smart. Boil or bake, cool in the fridge, then reheat to increase resistant starch and soften the glucose hit. Flavor is your safety net. Stock lemons, limes, garlic, onions, shallots, capers, and good mustard. Buy vinegars you actually like, red wine, apple cider, sherry. Load dried herbs and spices you'll use. Oregano, thyme, smoked paprika, cumin, black pepper, chili flakes. These turn eggs, fish, beans, and veg into meals you want without bottled sauces hiding seed oils. 2-minute dressings end the excuse to buy bottles. Base formula: 2 parts extra virgin olive oil, 1 part vinegar or lemon, a spoon of mustard, a big pinch of salt. Shake in a jar. Upgrade with minced garlic, shallot, or a dab of anchovy paste for umami. That's it. No gums, no blends, just flavor that rides with K2 rich foods and helps fat-soluble vitamins do their job. Label literacy keeps marketers honest. Seed oil blend is a no. High oleic sunflower still means refined. Interesterified is a modern fat trick. Skip it. If the ingredient list reads like a chemistry set, it's not helping your endothelium. You want short lists you recognize. Olive oil, vinegar, mustard, salt. Now set up a visible counter kit. So the right move is the fast move. Leave a small skillet on the stove. Keep regular olive oil and salt beside it, lemons in a bowl, a pepper grinder ready. Stack sardine tins where you can see them. Pre-cut cheese into 2-ounce chunks and store in a clear bin at eye level. Portion nuts into quarter-cup jars. No family-size fishing expeditions. Portion cottage cheese and Greek yogurt into single-serve containers and tape a mini extra virgin olive oil bottle to the lid. Run the 1-cart challenge to lock this in. Shop the perimeter. Produce eggs, dairy, meat, fish from center aisles. Grab only olive oil, vinegars, mustard, herbs and spices, tins of fish and olive oil, beans, oats, and very dark chocolate, 80% plus. Allow yourself 1 barcode wild card. 1. Constraints create clarity. Eating out starts in your pantry too. Tape an index card by the door with your script. Grilled protein, double veg cooked in butter or olive oil, no fryer. Olive oil and lemon on the side. If a place can't do that, choose another. Planning beats willpower when you're hungry at 6 p.m. Make the swap feel rewarding. Take a photo of your old oils on the counter, then a photo of your rebuilt shelf. Print them and mark day 1. Tape a 14-day wins tracker to the pantry door with 4 boxes: seed oil-free home cooking, protein-first breakfast, fish servings, and the 10-minute post-meal movement. Check boxes daily. You'll feel steadier energy by day 5, a calmer post-meal pulse by day 7, and your grocery cart will start matching your lab goals: lower triglycerides, friendlier HDL, and a quieter cuff reading. Clean pantry, clean inputs, calmer arteries. This is where the 1970s fear rule finally loses its grip, because the trap can't hide on your shelves anymore. 14-day action plan and checkpoints. Clear steps, quick wins. We're stacking tiny moves so your arteries feel the difference in 2 weeks. Keep it tight and measurable. Days 1 to 3. Purge, swap, anchor breakfast. Today, pull every bottle labeled vegetable oil, corn, soybean, canola, safflower, sunflower, cottonseed, grapeseed, or blend. Toss margarine and light spreads. Replace with butter, ghee, regular olive oil for the pan, and extra virgin for finishing. Start a 7-day seed oil, fast at home. Within 90 minutes of waking, eat 30 to 40 grams of protein with stable fat, 3 eggs and butter plus whole milk Greek yogurt, and a few berries with a drizzle of extra virgin olive oil works. Have your coffee with the meal, not before. Log breakfast and note your pulse 30 minutes after lunch. Expect a calmer number by day 3. Days 4 to 6. Add fish, start the artery flex. Schedule 2 fatty fish meals: sardines on tomatoes with olive oil and lemon, or salmon with double vegetables cooked in butter or olive oil. 5 to 10 minutes after meals, run the 10-minute protocol: 4-minute brisk walk, 3-minute wall sit, 3-minute calf raises. If knees object, use the chair variations. Keep tracking your post-meal pulse. By day 5, it should settle faster. Days 7 to 9, bring in K2D3A and fix the 3 p.m. crash. With your clinicians okay, pair a modest D3 dose with K2 as MK7 at breakfast. Reintroduce yolks and a slice of aged cheese most mornings. Liver once a week if you tolerate it. Set a 2:30 alarm titled Protein plus Fat plus Bubbles. Snack before the dip: cottage cheese with olive oil and tomatoes, or yogurt with walnuts and cinnamon. Add a tall glass of mineral water with lemon. Watch afternoon cravings fade and evening palpitations ease. Days 10 to 12, lock timing and nights. Hit the artery flex after lunch and dinner. Hold a consistent sleep window, cool and dark room, and 5 minutes of slow nasal breathing in bed. Exhale longer than you inhale. With your clinician's approval, try magnesium glycinate at dinner. No late alcohol these 3 nights. Record morning blood pressure. And how rested you feel. Days 13 to 14. Restock script restaurants, prep labs. Refill the pantry. Eggs, whole milk Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, tins of sardines and mackerel in olive oil, salmon pouches, regular and extra virgin olive oil, lemons, mustard, vinegars, frozen berries, beans. Tape your restaurant script by the door. Grilled protein, double veg, cooked in butter or olive oil, no fryer. Olive oil and lemon on the side. Draft a lab list for your next visit. Fasting lipid panel, ApoB if available, fasting insulin, A1C, high sensitivity CRP, and 25-hydroxy vitamin D. Bring a clean supplement and medication list. What you should feel and see. By day 5, steadier energy, fewer post-meal head rushes, and a calmer pulse after lunch. By day 7, less 3 p.m. prowling, fewer palpitations before dinner, and easier portion control. By day 10, a smoother evening heart rate drift, fewer nighttime wake UPS, and steadier morning blood pressure. By day 14, breakfast feels automatic, fish days are on autopilot, and your eating out lines roll off your tongue. Your simple tracking kit: blood pressure, Morning and evening, same chair, 5-minute rest, 3 readings, log the average. Post-meal pulse, 30 minutes after lunch and dinner. Sleep, note your lights out window and whether you did the breathing drill. Food/movement, check boxes for protein first breakfast, seed oil-free home cooking, fish servings 10-minute protocol, and 3 p.m. snack with protein and fat. Contingencies so life doesn't blow this up. Travel, pack a salmon pouch, 2 cheese sticks, a small bag of nuts, and a mini bottle of extra virgin olive oil. At cafes, order a latte with whole milk and a side of eggs or cheese. Restaurants, translate crispy as seed oil fryer. Choose grilled or baked. Ask for butter or olive oil. Squeeze lemon. Family pushback. I'm eating for steady arteries. Protein, olive oil, no fryer. Hectic mornings. Portion yogurt or cottage cheese into grab cups. Tape a mini olive oil bottle to the lid. And keep boiled eggs ready. 1 page to keep you honest. Top row, weekly BP averages and resting pulse. Middle, breakfast hit, fish days, seed oil-free days. 3 p.m. snack wins, artery flex sessions. Bottom, next lab date, current meds and supplements. 2 questions for your clinician. Frequency beats perfection. Do the reps, trust the signals, and let your numbers write the news story. Trap to turnaround. Let's make this real with quick snapshots from people who ran the exact playbook you've learned. Stable fats, K2D3, 8 protein first mornings, the 3 p.m. fix, omega rebalance, post-meal movement, and the night stack aligned with their clinicians. Ed First, mid-70s, loyal to low fat since the late 1970s. Margarine on toast, spray oil on pans, cereal and juice for breakfast, grilled chicken as the safe dinner. He walked daily, but felt winded on hills, and his post-meal pulse thumped. Labs fit the pattern. High triglycerides, low HDL, blood pressure creeping. We started with the stable fat swap and the breakfast insulin reset. Real butter and olive oil replaced blends, eggs came back, and fryers were out. He added sardines twice weekly and did the Artery Flex protocol after lunch and dinner. At week 6, triglycerides had dropped meaningfully, HDL inched up, and that hill manageable without stopping. The shift wasn't magic. It removed omega-6 overload, flattened glucose spikes, and gave his endothelium less oxidative stress. Marla, early 60s, took vitamin D faithfully for bone health, but still feared yolks and cheese. She had odd blood pressure spikes and gums that bled sometimes. With her clinicians okay, she paired D3 with K2 as MK7, brought back 2 yolks and a slice of aged Gouda most mornings, and kept extra virgin olive oil on salads. Within 3 weeks, home blood pressure lost its random peaks and gum bleeding eased. The deeper win was understanding why. K2 activates matrix GLA protein that helps keep calcium out of arteries, and fat in the meal carries the trio D3, K2, and vitamin A where it works. Luis, late 60s, lived on healthy snack bars and fruit alone at 3 p.m., then got evening palpitations and rough sleep. We rebuilt with a protein plus fat snack, cottage cheese with olive oil and a few almonds at 2:30, plus mineral water with lemon and a pinch of salt. Breakfast shifted to eggs and whole milk Greek yogurt, coffee with the meal. By day 5, palpitations eased and the pantry prowl stopped. The reason was boring and powerful. No naked carbs, fewer cortisol insulin swings, calmer endothelium. Janet, early 70s, had leg cramps, afternoon slumps, and neutral canola in every bottle. We ran the pantry purge, rotated sardines 3 times a week, swapped to olive oil dressings, and avoided fryers. She added the night repair stack, consistent sleep window, magnesium glycinate at dinner with clinician approval, and no late alcohol. By week 3, cramps faded, afternoon blood pressure steadied, and her next labs showed lower triglycerides. The omega-6, omega-3 balance finally tilted toward resolution pathways that stabilize plaques. Priya mid-60S came in with triglycerides at 220, HDL at 39, 2 blood pressure meds, and a statin. She executed the 14-day sprint. Seed oil fast, protein first breakfast, 2 to 3 fish meals, Artery flex after meals, K2D3, a stack quiet nights. She logged blood pressure morning and evening, tracked her post-meal pulse, and brought a one-page dashboard to her physician. At 6 weeks, triglycerides dropped to 150, HDL nudged up, and blood pressure averages improved. Her doctor trimmed one antihypertensive slightly and planned reassessment. No cliff jumps, just data and smart coordination. A quick caution case. Dan tried to DIY rapid change while on insulin and a sulfonylurea. His new breakfasts and post-meal movement worked too well. He had mid-morning lows. We paused, synced with his clinician, added glucose monitoring, and adjusted doses. Within 2 weeks, he had the same wins: calmer pulse, lower triglycerides, without hypoglycemia. If you're on insulin or secretagogues, plan your dose steps early. Notice the shared pattern. They swapped unstable seed oils for stable fats, then added EPA/DHA from fish. They paired D3 with K2 as MK7 and brought back real K2 foods alongside fat to absorb them. They set breakfast protein at 30 to 40 grams, fixed the 3 p.m. crash, and moved right after meals. They protected nights so vessels could repair. They tracked simple markers: triglycerides down, HDL up, calmer post-meal pulse, steadier blood pressure. And they kept their doctors in the loop. Warfarin users held vitamin K intake consistent. Those on blood pressure or diabetes meds scheduled check-ins at 4 to 6 weeks. Fish oil was noted if they were on anticoagulants. Magnesium timing was spaced from specific medications. The game changer wasn't perfection. It was frequency. Stable fats most days, protein first mornings most days, fish 2 or 3 times a week, a 10-minute post-meal session most meals, and a reliable wind down most nights. Stack those and your next labs and how your heart feels after meals. Tell the truth, habit anchors, and social armor. You've got the plan. Now we'll make it automatic so busy days don't knock you off track. Start with the breakfast anchor. Every evening, set the scene. Small skillet on the stove, regular. Olive oil and salt beside it. And a bowl of eggs front and center. Tape a sticky on the fridge, 30 before coffee. If mornings are hectic, portion whole milk, Greek yogurt, or cottage cheese into grab cups and tape a mini extra virgin olive oil bottle to each lid. Convenience beats willpower at 7 a.m. Next, the supplement anchor. Park a weekly pill box for D3/K2 and magnesium right next to your coffee mugs. Set a repeating phone reminder titled Vitamins with Fat. The cue is the mug, the action is the swallow, and the reward is checking it off. If you're coordinating K2 on warfarin, keep intake consistent and loop in your clinician before changes. Now protect the 3 p.m. window with placement and timing. Build a ready-to-eat bin at eye level in the fridge. 2-ounce cheese portions, pre-portioned cottage cheese cups with mini olive oil bottles taped on, and tins of sardines and olive oil in a clear pantry bin. Set a 2:30 alarm called Protein Plus Fat Plus Bubbles. When it rings, pour mineral water with lemon, then eat the snack before the crash. No naked carbs, ever. Tie movement to a visible trigger. As soon as your fork hits the plate, start a 10-minute timer labeled Walk, Wall, Calves. Keep your walking shoes by the table, not by the door you rarely use. If weather blocks you, do hallway laps and the chair variation. The anchor is the empty plate. The action starts before your brain negotiates. Wind down needs ritual, not ambition. Pick a lights out window and set a wind down now alarm 1 hour before. Dim lights, drop the thermostat, charge your phone outside the bedroom, and place tomorrow's skillet and eggs before you brush your teeth. Put magnesium by your toothbrush if it fits your meds. Finish with 5 minutes of slow nasal breathing in bed. Long exhale, low heart rate. Friction hacks keep momentum. Pre-cut cheese into 2-ounce blocks on Sunday. Portion nuts into quarter-cup jars. And hide the family-size bags. Keep sardine tins where you can see them. Store extra virgin olive oil on the counter, not in a cabinet. Freeze lemon wedges and keep a jar of 2-minute dressing ready. Extra virgin olive oil, vinegar or lemon, mustard, salt. Make the right move faster than the old move. Now, the social armor. Short lines that protect your choices without debates. At family dinners, I'm eating for steady arteries, protein, olive oil, no fryer. At restaurants, grilled protein, double veg, cooked in butter or olive oil. No crispy. At parties, I'm good with cheese and olives, thanks. On dessert pushback. Sweet stuff bumps my blood pressure. I feel better without. On seed oil arguments. My numbers improve when I skip fryers. I'm sticking with what works. Travel script, so airports don't blow this up. Pack a salmon pouch, 2 cheese sticks, a small bag of nuts, and a mini extra virgin olive oil. At cafes, order a latte with whole milk and a side of eggs or cheese. Translate crispy on menus as seed oil fryer. Choose grilled or baked and ask for butter or olive oil and lemon. Reward frequency, not perfection. Each week you hit 5 protein-first breakfasts, 3 fish meals, 5 artery flex sessions, and a steady sleep window. Give yourself a non-food win, fresh spices, a new playlist, or better walking shoes. Put a simple tracker on the fridge. Boxes for breakfast, fish, seed oil-free home cooking, 3 p.m. snack, and the post-meal protocol. Check marks build identity. I eat for steady arteries. Belief reset from fear to proof. Let's close the gap between what you were told and what your body actually responds to. The old story said fat clogs arteries, so you stripped fat, added starch, and swapped butter for vegetable oils. It felt safe because everyone said it was safe. But your numbers and how you feel are the lie detector. Here's the shift. Stop arguing beliefs. Start collecting proof. Proof looks like triglycerides drifting down, HDL inching up, steadier blood pressure, a calmer post-meal pulse, and fewer 3 p.m. crashes. Those move when you do 4 things. Use stable fats instead of seed oils, anchor breakfast with protein and natural fat, rebalance omega-3 up and omega-6 down, and bring K2-D3 back with real food. That's not trendy, it's physiology. The thing most people miss is spike math. Low fat often means high spike. Spikes drive oxidative stress, beat up your endothelium, and make LDL particles easier to oxidize. Stable fats plus protein smooth the curve, so there's less oxidative damage. And when K2 is present with D3 and vitamin A, you don't just absorb calcium. You direct it away from arteries and toward bone. That's the structural fix most 1970s era advice never covered. You don't need perfect labs to start. You need trend lines. Triglycerides reflect your sugar swings and omega balance. HDL reflects your overall metabolic rhythm and activity. Post-meal pulse tells you in 30 minutes if your endothelium liked that meal. When you see those move, you've got proof your inputs match your goals. Language helps you change behavior in the moment. Swap low fat for low spike. Ask, is this a naked carb? If yes, add protein and fat or skip it. Replace safe with stable. Crispy means fryer oil, translated to no. Grilled with olive oil translates to yes. Tiny word swaps cut decision fatigue. Identity locks it in. Say, I eat for steady arteries. That identity sorts your grocery cart, your snack drawer, and your restaurant order. It also makes social pushback easier. My numbers improve when I skip fryers. I'm sticking with what works. Micro checkpoint moments keep you watching. Day 5, steadier energy. Day 7, fewer 3 p.m. cravings and a calmer post-meal pulse. Day 10, smoother evening heart rate drift and steadier morning blood pressure. Those are early wins before any lab recheck. If you remember nothing else, remember this: beliefs follow biomarkers. When triglycerides drop, HDL improves, your blood pressure steadies, and your pulse settles after meals, you won the argument. No debate required. Keep it scientific, keep it simple, and let your numbers teach you which habits to double down on. Implementation/payoff. Start today with 3 moves: a 7-day seed oil fast at home, a 30-gram protein and stable fat breakfast within 90 minutes of waking, and the 10-minute artery flex after lunch or dinner. Add 2 to 3 fish meals weekly. Pair D3 with K2 as MK7 and vitamin A from food with your clinician's okay. And hold a steady sleep window with magnesium glycinate at dinner if it fits your meds. What to expect: steadier energy by day 5, fewer 3 p.m. cravings, a calmer post-meal pulse by day 7, and smoother morning blood pressure by day 10. Book a 4 to 6 week follow-up. Bring your dashboard and let dose changes follow the data. The takeaway is simple: replace fear with proof, stable fats, low spike meals, omega-3 up, omega-6 down, and K2D3, a guiding calcium where it belongs. Your arteries feel it within days. Your labs start reflecting it within weeks. For the next step, watch the meal template video to make these choices automatic for 30 days. Subscribe for practical doctor-safe playbooks and drop your early wins, post-meal pulse, snack fixes, pantry purges in the comments so others can follow what works.